Hello and welcome to the first episode of The Geometrist Plays Enter the Gungeon. Since I'm not starting at the beginning of this game, those of you who know what Gungeon is can feel free to watch the intro to figure out where I am in the game, where we're starting at. The rest of you, I'll provide an annotation to let you skip to the actual gameplay, but I can't really protect you from the spoilers from items that appear in the Gungeon. So with that, we'll get started. Click the annotation if you don't want any spoilers about the quests in the game and the NPCs in the breach. So as you can see, I've already unlocked both of the secret characters. I've killed the pasts of the 4 main characters. And for this run, I'm going to be playing as the Marine and wearing the adorable alternate night costume. So, as we begin, you can see that I've already acquired all the pieces of the bullet, I've killed their pasts, and as regards that, I've also fought the Lich several times, beat him 3 times. One run was not particularly remarkable, the other 2 were. I've bought all the items from the green dude here. I've fought Blockner and unlocked his weapon. And if we go over to the right side, we'll talk to Freifel here. And you can see that I'm on hunting bullet sharks, and I still need 35 of them. I've kicked this dude's helmet into the breach several times. I've finished his quest. I haven't made any progress on Winchester's quest, because just bad luck. He hasn't spawned in very many runs for me. I've unlocked the elevators to the 2nd and 3rd floor. Finished out all of the maps for the adventurer. Purchased all of Gupton's items. I've finished the quest for the Gunsling King, so I've unlocked the Owl. And if we go in here, the Yari launcher is the only thing for sale. And I've already done the Blessing run. I paid my 6 credits, I unlocked Gunther, and I have toggled on Beast mode, so I've finished the game and unlocked the sweet gun that shoots steaks and tigers. With that, we're going to go into the Gungeon and start the first run. So, where I'm at with the elevator man means that to finish that objective, I would need to bring him 4 junk. And while this isn't particularly difficult, I may see if it can happen. I'll probably decide to go to the oubliette on the off chance that not being able to open chests gets me set up well to bring him that junk. But if it doesn't happen, if I get enough keys to open the chests and go to the oubliette, I will. I figure it's probably better to start with a run that's not that insane. Apologies if you didn't know about the oubliette, but if you're watching this video, it was gonna happen anyway. And I figure if you found yourself here, seeing as I'm not a popular YouTuber yet, you probably already know a thing or two about Enter the Gungeon, and we're looking for this game in particular. So, as far as other goals go, I do still need to bring him his ridiculous amount of currency and keys for this floor, but since that takes a really particular run, I'm going to do that later. I'm going to try and do it when I'm playing as the pilot, since his ability to open chests with the lockpick actually mitigates the amount of shooting of chests, that you would normally have to do. You're able to open them without spending keys and without spending currency on keys, at least sometimes, which makes you not lose so much power over the course of the run. Now, it's interesting that we've already found our boss room, but I'd rather go ahead and explore the floor and see if there's a way for me to get a better weapon than the starting pistol. I do think the Marine starting pistol is a good weapon. That's unfortunate, he hit that water barrel. Well, at least there's one that's guaranteed to spawn on the fireplace room, since I have done that before. Anyway, I'd like to see if I can find a stronger gun than the Marine starting weapon. This is actually a really good shop. I'm gonna pass on the key for now and try to save up 45 credits, or shells, casings. I think they're casings, right? That was a really short fireplace room. I'm gonna see if I can't save up 45 casings on this floor and buy +1 bullets. I do tend to value passive items higher than I value active items and even guns if the passive is good and +1 bullets is good. It's just a raw stat upgrade. You do more damage. And I think that that's valuable because just it helps every gun that you get for the rest of the run, and having something like that early can actually turn weapons that aren't the best, that aren't run winners, into run winning items. There are guns that just aren't that great that can really be pushed over the edge by something like +1 bullets or by a combination of passives more likely. You know, you wind up getting some form of bouncing bullets and piercing bullets on every gun and increase the damage of those guns, you're pretty much set for the rest of the run. Now, these guys, I think gun nuts aren't that hard. I see people fight them in a lot of weird ways. They like to try and roll through all the bullets, but it's easy enough to just make those semicircles and get around them since their tracking cuts out partway through their attack. They'll never hit you if you just circle around them enough. When I said circle around, I actually made a little motion with my index finger on my right hand. You guys can't see that. I'm not a face cam YouTuber. It's just kind of humorous that, I mean, I guess it's part of the show. So see, anyways, what we have here, this is what I'm talking about. This is a really good chest. So I'm going to pass on going to the oubliette. Oubliette? Oubliette. That's how you pronounce that. Words. Anywho, pass on that to get that chest, which actually means that, so I can't do the junk requirement now. That's not possible, because what I've just done is make every chest for the rest of the game into a mimic. Now, this is good because it means I never have to spend a key again. I never have to buy a key, so I don't have to worry about that. Which actually means that I may be able to wrangle the keys and casings on this run. Because I'm just never going to be spending money on what really is the primary source of spending on a run. I'm going to go ahead and buy +1 to bullets. I think it's too good to pass up. It's just a really great passive item. Makes you better. I'm going to try and fight the Trigger Twins with this shotgun, since it does have pretty good range and also has the stopping power to make them not able to dash into me. Go ahead and use a blank there since things were getting a little dicey. I've already eliminated one of the Trigger Twins, which means we might have a good setup for a flawless here. Just roll through there. Go ahead and blank. No reason to take a risk when I'm about to get a flawless. And yeah, that went about as well as can be expected. Fortunately, I've already had my coffee today, and the caffeine's hitting the old bloodstream, which is giving me quite the advantage over the last few times when I've done practice recordings before this. Those runs went terribly, and they'll never see the light of day, but it's not because, you know, I want to filter out losses. It's actually just a matter of me not being experienced at talking into a microphone and playing a game. I forgot that I had the Mimic Tooth necklace and made a really stupid, boneheaded move. So, I'm going to try and lure this guy out as much as I can. I don't want him to fall into the water because then I have made mistakes. I accidentally backed into the shop while I was fighting that mimic, and the shopkeeper is gone for good. That means there won't be any more shops for the rest of the game. I guess that's not actually that big a deal, though, because all of the chests are mimics, thanks to the Mimic Tooth necklace. So I don't need to buy keys or anything from the shopkeeper. Really, it's just more incentive to try and bring the credits down. Admittedly, I'm going to have to rely on drops to get the keys now, though, which is subpar. On the upside, with +1 to bullets and with the 2 weapons that I've picked up, I'm actually set up pretty well. I can use the machine gun to clear rooms, and the shotguns seem to do a lot of damage to bosses. So I'm not really worried about success on this run, even though messing up the shopkeeper is kind of a colossal failure on my part. It happened on the one run where it's not that big a deal, because the items that I have already set me up to do well. I don't think I need much more. You know, I'm gonna get good items probably out of chests that are mimics now. I'm just not really worried. Not having the shopkeep didn't do that much damage. In the meantime, this machine gun is really tearing up the base enemies. It's doing a great job room clearing, which is what I need it for, seeing as I'm using this shotgun, the Siren, for bosses at the moment. Now that's exciting. What you may have noticed before I started this room is that there's a, that was bad. That was bad damage that I shouldn't have taken. But yeah, there's an NPC over here. The smiley face is, yeah, Matman. The smiley face can be Matman or the fairy in a bottle. But since I'm not hurt, I don't need any HP, and I've got spare HP laying around the ground. That does mean that I'm in a spot where I don't need the fairy. But I am always happy to get new items. Oh, that's unfortunate. That mustache provides benefit when you buy things from shops, which obviously can't happen now because I am an idiot who fired bullets while I was in the shop. I mean, come on, man. You gotta understand, there was a mimic. It was right outside the shop. I mean, I was protecting you, and you've betrayed me like this. I was trying to defend the sanctity of your shop. Keep that mimic from eating your wares and carrying them into the gungeon. What do I get in return? A bunch of bullets fired at me, and you refuse to sell me things. Fortunately, they did patch the game, and so it used to work such that if you angered the shopkeep, like Shopkeep Prime, the normal one per floor shops, that all of the potential shopkeepers in the game would stop selling you items. That includes like Cursula, who sells cursed items. That includes Gupton, who sells the poison-themed items. And that was really, it was a pain. You know, you couldn't, if you angered the shopkeep like that, you couldn't buy anything. But now, the way it works is it's just Shopkeep Prime who is gone, which means that I can actually still purchase items from any of the other various shopkeepers in the game. Now, the reason that's good is those shopkeepers oftentimes have items that are more powerful than what you would expect to find in the normal shops. In particular, for example, Gupton has the duct tape, which is just an amazing item. It combines two guns. It's one of the best in the game. He also carries, for example, Gundromeda Strain that just lowers the starting HP, as I understand it, of all enemies. The actual text says it makes all enemies weaker. I'm not entirely clear on that, on the exact mechanics. Wonder what would happen if you had the Ring of Mimic Friendship and the Mimic Tooth Necklace. I mean, I can't buy it. I don't have any keys. But I'm just curious. I've never seen that before. I mean, I think the ideal scenario is that it actually makes all of the chests unlocked because they're mimics, but mimics don't attack you. But, I doubt that it would be that nice. It might just turn them back into normal chests, or they may just stay mimics. So, this sling is fantastic. This is our new boss killer, hands down. The sling just does, as you can see, a really ridiculous amount of damage to bosses. We're going to switch off to a different weapon to deal with this phase of the fight. And then we're going to use a blank to get through there. And yeah, okay, now that I actually had a second to think, I can switch back to the sling and keep using the actual good boss killer. See, so I use mouse buttons to change weapons, and I hadn't really committed the time to remembering which weapon was where on this run. You can slow down time with control to switch weapons, but I just hadn't thought about it. Yeah, with 2 keys, I'm going to come back here and buy the brick of cash, and then I'll be able to find secret rooms for the rest of the game. That should help me profit a little bit. It'll also be really nice for, I might be able to get another key this floor and buy that heart container. I think I've just settled on the idea that this is going to be a normal run. I'm not going to accomplish any objectives. And, you know, I mean, it's the first video. It's not that big a deal. I don't think I have a lot of pressure on me to accomplish objectives right now. I can just make a solid showing of the gameplay. And that'll be fine. You know, not every run has to get something done. Sometimes you just need hegemony credits. You know, the fact of the matter is, even if I get all this done, I'm gonna have to grind out hegemony credits to give to the elevator man and to buy the Yari launcher anyway. So it's not that big a deal. Since I do have brick of cash, I can just amble around the floor until I see a secret room. I don't actually have to shoot walls and stuff anymore. But this is going to be a little bit slow paced while I'm doing that. You know, there's just no action on screen while I'm slowly moving from room to room and looking for secret rooms. The secret rooms themselves may have more action than normal by far because of the fact that they have chests on them from time to time, and those chests are all mimics now. So that could be exciting and dangerous. But beyond that, you know, this is kind of a lull in the run, and I don't think that's too big of a problem. We're doing well, and it's not going to hurt to just take a second to breathe during the run. Just have a little bit of time. Is there a secret room on this floor? I'm not seeing any of the... Ah, there it is. Oh, I missed it on the way out. Alright, so yeah, 2 more keys means I can buy that heart container. And we'll use the shotgun on this mimic. Come on out into the big room where I can actually afford to fight you. That's one nice thing. So mimics used to not be able to leave the room that they were found in. That's another thing that I'm actually really glad they patched out, because generally if you're fighting a mimic, that means that you're in a position such that you know, you're in a small room and you've cleared all of the other rooms. And what you used to be able to do is this really cheesy strategy where you would just stand outside of the room that the mimic was in, and the mimic couldn't leave, but you could still shoot bullets through and hit the mimic. And it really just made mimics a free item rather than an interesting challenge during the run. And so I'm actually in favor of that change to mimics. I think that it's much more entertaining to have them be something to actually have to deal with, you know, and be a real fight. I mean, I still don't think that mimics are that hard. They're pretty easy to beat. You just walk away from them and don't worry about it, and they'll hardly ever get to you. But at least now there's something of a threat, because before, if you knew to cheese them, they would never hit you. And you could just chalk it up to, oh, I have to spend ammo on this chest instead of keys. Which, in a way, is still true, but it's a riskier proposition. I still think that the Mimic Tooth Necklace is one of the best items in the game, though, because it means that you're never going to miss out on an item in your run. You're going to get every item as long as you can kill mimics, and mimics just aren't that hard. Wow, okay, that was scary. So, I don't like these dual turret rooms. It's really hard to avoid taking damage on those just because the sheer volume of bullets that gets fired out. And also the turret provides a really constant stream of fire. So like with enemies, generally they take a shot or two and you can see where those bullets are going, and you can react to it. Then you get a breather before you have to move again. But with the turrets, it's a constant stream of fire. And so not only is it constantly trying to shoot at where... I don't know if it shoots at where you are or where you're gonna be. I haven't paid attention to whether the turrets lead yet. But that also... it just stacks up with the other bullets that enemies are firing and makes it a real pain to get through the room. Because, I mean, really the way I would describe it is it increases your cognitive load. There's still, like, probably the same number of safe spaces and options to get you out of harm's way. I mean, there's always a way to not take damage in Gungeon. It's just that having more things on the screen, more things to look at, makes you more likely to miss something that's coming at you. And making those mistakes can add up a lot over the course of a run. So this room is kind of unfortunate because I feel like there's not a good way to get to the shaman who's providing this buff to these enemies without killing at least one enemy to get to him. Fortunately, after I killed the one enemy, it was easy enough to actually go to the shaman and finish him off. Right. Once again, the shop is empty because of that mistake on the very first floor. But, it's not... I mean, it's not really hurting the run that much. I'm doing fine. If that had happened without me getting Mimic Tooth Necklace, like if that chest had still been a Mimic... oh god. Then I would be in some real trouble because I wouldn't have every chest for free. I would just have no way to get more keys. So I like to hold the ammo drop that the Marine starts with until I'm actually out of ammunition for a significant number of guns. If I have another room clearer that I can switch to, I'd rather just wait and see if ammo drops as long as I'm not having troubles from the lack of weaponry. Now I will use the ammo drop if I find another active item here, because now that I have a weapon that's empty, that ammo drop can actually be useful even if I am just leaving it behind to take another item in its place. Right, Mimic. What can I use? I think the shotgun held up well enough last time. I'm back into this room. Now, I do try to avoid killing them in hallways because I've heard that there's a bug that can happen where the item just doesn't spawn, or it does spawn and it winds up stuck in a wall. And you just, you either can't get it, or if you can, you can't see where it is, so you just have to slowly inch through the hallway, pressing E everywhere. So I'm really interested in this gun. I've seen it on other people's playthroughs. I watch Northern Lion quite a bit. He's, by the way, great YouTuber. If you're interested in what I'm doing here, if you like this video, you'll probably like his videos, because they're this, but from somebody with more experience. That style is very much the same kind of style of commentary that I like to go for. In fact, it was the inspiration for me to start doing this. But anyway, I've seen this gun, but I've never had the opportunity to pick it up, and it seems very strong. It seems sort of like discount Super Meat Boy gun, but the Super Meat Boy gun is like a hands down GG, the run is over, here's your victory kind of weapon. So saying that it's a discount version of that still means that it's a very powerful weapon. And this is probably what I want to use my ammo drop on if I had to pick one thing out of my inventory right now. I may even replace the sling as my boss killer with this. Because anything that has bullets that can bounce around like that has the potential to keep doing damage to bosses over and over. And so once you really fill the room up with these projectiles, you can take down bosses in no time flat, because that damage just keeps stacking up. And I mean, you can see the same sort of thing is happening on room clearing. you know, every shot is hitting at least twice. At least, you know, before we're down to like one enemy in the room and I have to pay a little bit more attention to where I'm shooting. We'll see what this is. Actually, I can afford to buy things. You know, I would like that. Definitely Frost Amulet is solid. You know, if you use a blank on a boss and get that freezing effect, then the boss shoots bullets more slowly and moves more slowly, and that gives you just a better chance to flawless. Okay, so I used a blank there, and I think that that's fine. That was exactly the kind of situation where if I didn't use a blank, I was going to be in a much worse situation. I was going to take damage because that roll did not go where I needed it to go. This weapon's doing alright, but I don't know if it's actually... I think this is probably not as good as the sling. On bosses. I think it's a fantastic room clearer, and that's what I'm going to keep using it for. So I try to keep moving during this phase, because I don't want to wind up in a situation where him shooting at the same place twice means that there are bullets coming at me from both sides when they bounce. That's a recipe for disaster when you're fighting Cannon Balrog. Now, if I can just hit him like one more time, that's flawless number 3. Heavy bullets. That's fantastic. So I was talking about stacking passives for pretty much this whole run. And that's what we've done here. I'm going to remind myself what heavy bullets does. I'm generally pretty good about that. Right. More damage, slower bullets. So it may make enemies harder to hit, but at the same time, it's also going to make every shot that we fire do significantly more damage to enemies. And this just stacks with +1 bullets, which means that we're in a really good position for the rest of the game. I'm also going to come up here. Yeah, I can't afford the Elder Blank, so I'm going to buy Table Tech Blank. So now, whenever I flip a table in a room, it's going to freeze enemies, stun enemies, and destroy bullets. And that is a potent combination. That means that flipping tables is basically going to give me free room clears now. Because all those effects stack up to just decimate all of the enemies in the room. Now, I'm taking a second here to look around for secret rooms. I realize I probably could have done this earlier while I was moving through these rooms with Brick of Cash. But what I suspect is that the secret room can very often be in chest rooms. That's really common. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's in one of the rooms that had a chest, and I didn't see it because I got sidetracked with fighting a mimic in that room. Yeah, this chest room is definitely a candidate for the secret room. No, that's weird. Where could it be then? So, not on the shop. Maybe this big room? Yeah, this big room. Okay. Looks like we've got another mimic to fight, so we'll just, I don't know. Try the Tommy gun. Yeah, so you can see the penalty to the velocity of these bullets is pretty significant. They do move more slowly, but most enemies in this game aren't terribly mobile. Oof. Got hit there, and I mean, I might as well call the ammo drop and take this. It's something. And I'm certainly not getting any better use out of the ammo drop than refilling a gun that's been serving me so well as a room clearer. The decoy will also probably let me get out of some sticky situations, not take damage where I would have otherwise. Yeah, but I think this run's going really well. You know, with the flawless on every boss so far. Yeah, let's try out. Oh yeah, that's going to be a combination that does work. These enemies aren't going to stand a chance if there are tables in the room. I guess Table Tech Stun and the Frost Amulet Table Tech Blank combination is a little bit redundant. Though there may be some enemies that can't be frozen, I'm not too sure. And at least on those, the stun will work and help synergize. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've got enough health to offer a blood sacrifice and get some curse to do more damage. I'm really liking stacking up these passive damage buffs. Makes for a very powerful run. Makes even guns that would probably have fallen off by now stay potent. And it's more valuable than you'd think. A lot of people focus on the idea in Gungeon that you know, success is really determined by if you get some like single run winning gun. And there are a lot of guns in this game that can win a run by themselves. There's no doubt about that. But you don't necessarily have to do that. If you can stack a lot of passives, then you can get very good results out of any gun. You know, you get enough damage ups, every gun does damage. And I think that's sort of the theme of this run. That's what we're going to see accomplished here. Is no matter what gun we decide to use, it's going to do plenty of damage because we have 3 different passive damage increases that are stacking up. There's really just, this isn't a troublesome run. Everything's going really smoothly. That caffeine in the bloodstream, I guess, is really helpful. This is probably going to be a long one, too. I could see this run going all the way to the Lich. Certainly, I don't think there's any chance of dying on the boss on this floor, even if I don't flawless it. Which means that we'll be going down to the Forge. I'd say a Dragon win is definitely in the bag here. There's not much chance that that doesn't happen. But, you know, I'm never confident in my ability to beat the Lich unless I have one of those run-winning guns. It's just that Bullet Hell can be such a shit show so much of the time that really all bets are off when you get to Bullet Hell. You just can't really rely on weaker guns, even with passive stacked up. That's kind of the threshold where the talk that I've been having here about stacking passives to make any gun good starts to break down, because you just get so many enemies thrown at you, and you can really even find yourself in a situation where you're running out of ammo for everything. I mean, it's happened to me before on Bullet Hell, where I've just wound up having to use my starting pistol because I couldn't find the boss room and ran out of ammunition. And that is just such a huge problem. So I'm hoping that we can get a better quality chest for the passive. You know, I mean, just keep going with the theme for the run. Of course, it's not necessarily a passive. It's a gun and an item in the 2 guaranteed chests, and that item can be active. And to be honest, I'd rather have most active items in the game over the explosive decoy. It's such an unimpressive ability that I forget to use it. And if an enemy shoots it while you're still next to it, it can just blow you up. But, I mean, it did do work there. I got that skeleton to not look at me long enough for me to shoot him a bunch of times. So here you're seeing the value of the Table Tech Blank. Of just being able to walk into the room, stun all the enemies, freeze some of them. Okay, so a green chest is certainly not bad. Oh, never mind. It's a jammed green chest. That's so much worse than I thought. I didn't even know there were jammed mimics. Thankfully, this item is amazing. You know how I said I'd like almost any item better? I think that Napalm Strike is really bad. And I'm going to keep Explosive Decoy. Napalm Strike coats an area of the ground in fire. And I don't have any item that gives me immunity to fire. If I did, I'd likely change my tune and think that it's a fantastic item. But as it stands right now, there's just as much chance that I'm gonna mess it up and hurt myself with it as there is of it actually having benefit for me. Whereas the explosive decoy, generally I don't find myself losing because of it. I generally don't wind up taking damage from the explosion. Even though it can happen, I generally am not quite that bad at the game. It has happened to me before, though, and it's a real piss-off when it does. But, you know, you can't help it. Sometimes there are just active items that are even worse. So, we have, Goopton here. Unfortunately, he's not selling anything that I'm particularly interested in. It would be a different story if he had duct tape. Duct tape is, in my opinion, one of the best items in the game, hands down. I'd be able to do something silly like, I don't know, combine... I guess ideally what I would have done is combined the plunger. I would have tried to buy that and duct tape and combined it with probably the sling to get a really powerful boss killing capability. Which, don't get me wrong, we're already very strong against bosses. The sling with all of these damage ups does a whole lot for us. Now, I'm just gonna try and brute force my way through most of this. Like, I'll dodge what... Never mind. I won't dodge anything. I'll take damage. Which means... Now, I'm just gonna try and move on and finish him off. That really sucks. I thought that this was a potential candidate for, going all the way and getting the Lead God achievement, which is for, flawlessing 5 bosses, getting 5 master rounds, but now the only way that that can happen is, if I manage to get Clone on the next floor, which lets you respawn at the start of the run, but with all your upgrades intact and all of the weapons that you had. If that happens, then we're almost guaranteed to get the achievement, but I don't think I'm that lucky. I've never even found Clone before. Also, that would make this video last for like 2 hours, and I'd probably split it into 2 parts. Which, I mean, admittedly would be kind of hilarious to have happen on the first video on the channel. But I don't think it's going to. I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. So, I hate these rooms. These hammers are really frustrating. I've got a lot of practice with it, so I don't get caught by it too often anymore, but it's still not a fun time. Whoa, oh god. I almost got hit there just from not paying attention to where he was shooting. Now, Ghost Bullets is another one of those passives that we were talking about, that we picked up. Now, anything has piercing. And the effect that you can see on a weapon that already has piercing is it gives it an additional pierce, which means these saw blades can now hit multiple enemies. They're just going to hit more as compared to what they used to. This is one thing that I really like about Gungeon. So if you look at something like the Binding of Isaac, right, and you get a form of piercing tears, and you get another form of piercing tears. Piercing tears in that game just means that the tears are going to keep going. And so multiple sources don't stack with each other in any way. In Gungeon, weapons that already pierce gain the ability to pierce through additional enemies. And that means that having multiple sources of piercing actually does something. And the same is true for bouncing bullets. Like, if I were to pick up bouncy bullets with this saw blade weapon, then what you would see is the saws would bounce additional times before they actually disappeared. And if I combined that with Ghost Bullets, this weapon would become ridiculously strong. Just from the passive synergies. It's already gotten very strong from having the ability to pierce through additional enemies, because even if there's not more enemies for it to hit, it can bounce off walls and hit the same enemy more times than it used to be able to. Did I get ghost bullets? Am I just talking shit here? I got icy bullets, didn't I? I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, that doesn't invalidate what I said, but I'm also an idiot and don't actually have the item that I was talking about having. So, pay no attention to that as regards the run and my "as you can see" comment, but those would still be ideal passives to get because of their synergies. I just don't already have them. My bad. So yeah, these conveyor belts can actually be rather frustrating if you don't have a source of flying. It makes it kind of hard to dodge. Though on the other hand, if you're good at using them, you can really effectively get out of the way of certain effects. So I'd call that a toss-up for those rooms, whether they're beneficial or not. I have a ton of keys right now. It's unfortunate that I didn't have this many on the last floor. It could have been really beneficial. Okay. This guy's really harshing my steez here. He's just right in the way. Man. Angles. Okay. Let's do some of that geometry that my name implies that I'm good at. Nah, this isn't working. Just gonna have to bait him and then go. Okay, so that was a little bit of a complicated situation. Sorry for the lull in the commentary, but I really had to focus up on that one or I was gonna botch that horribly. Yeah, so this is honestly a really crappy quality chest for how deep we are into this game at this point. I don't expect to get much value out of this. Admittedly, I think this is the tier where you can get the Mega Hand or the orange. I will take my HP upgrade and move along merrily. That's just gonna increase our power even more, make us even harder to kill. This run has certainly been HP rich. I also conveniently have exactly enough to buy those rocket-powered bullets, which will offset the slowness of the bullets from heavy bullets. Yeah, this has just been a fantastic run for demonstrating the merits of stacking a bunch of passives. Because I haven't gotten any, like, fantastic run winner guns, but I'm still doing really well because just every gun, no matter what it does, is so much more powerful than it would be on the average run. This gun muncher, I think this is an interesting proposition. I'm going to feed it Smiley's revolver, and I'm going to feed it this Tommy gun. I figure those are both out of ammo. I can only buy ammo for one. I might as well just get a new gun. The Luxon cannon isn't great, but, I mean, every gun is good on this run. I'll just take a minute to acclimate myself to what mouse button switches to what weapon again, and be on our way. So, I might try to do a strategy that I've had success with before, which is, now that I'm this far in the game, I'm going to try to minimize my use of blanks so that I can carry them on down to bullet hell, and I'm going to try not to even use them there. Rather, I'm going to try to save them all for the Lich fight, because that will allow me to just brute force my way through sections of that fight that I'm not super familiar with yet. And combined with the high HP that we have right now, that could potentially just carry us on through to a win. That strategy has worked for me before. That's actually how I got my first Lich kill, because I didn't know anything about the boss. And I just carried my blanks through the entirety of the game. I didn't use a single blank until the Lich, and then just powerhoused my way through everything that he threw out. And he just didn't stand a chance because I had too many blanks in that last fight. Ow. That's unfortunate. Okay, so there is an actual enemy here. There's just also extremely frustrating turrets. And apparently those don't stop when you kill the enemy. Where'd that chest go? I know one dropped. This is gonna be a real pain. This is not, yep. This is just not a good room to have to do that on. The Crestfaller is a decent weapon. It already has a built-in ice effect, so it doesn't really benefit from the ice bullets at all. But you know, what can you do? I'll try to use the shotgun again for the mimic. Good, it got frozen. That means that this is just clean up now. Where did it drop? Ooh, the stinger. That's fantastic. Oh. I don't know if that was worth it. I mean, using the blank for the extra half red heart and a probably worthless key. Oh, no, a definitely worthless key. Because as far as I understand, no friendly enemies. Yeah, great. Use the English language better, please, brain. No friendly NPCs ever spawn on bullet hell. There's no shop. There's no locked doors that are going to lead to something profitable. So it's really just kind of worthless that I got that key. The half heart's fine, but now the strategy that I talked about using where I just don't use any blanks would be pointless because I'm going to generate the number of blanks that I already have anyway when we go down to the next floor. Now that does hurt. I was hoping to be able to flawless this so that I could take that extra HP down to bullet hell with us. But, you know, such is life. Hopefully that explosion is in range. The decoy doesn't do much worthwhile work here. Just because the dragon outputs so many bullets. And the decoy is just going to get hit. And I wasn't able to blank fast enough. My reaction time's not quite fast enough. But you can use a blank to stop both of those from coming out. I was only able to stop the one. But, if you're really on point with the timing, you can get much more benefit out of that by just stopping both of those things from spawning. Hopefully, the sling still does its bonus damage to the dragon's heart. That would be ideal, which might allow me to do this in one instead of having to roll through all that crap again. Nah, this is going to take at least 2. Now, so close, though. I can probably just afford to use blanks to power through this. Seeing as how, I'm just going to generate new ones when we move on to the next floor anyway. But yeah, so there's a dragon kill. This is a pretty good showing, I think. The passive items have been really doing work to bring our other weapons a cut above. Is there anything else to do on this floor? No. So yeah, we'll just, with that, make our way on down to bullet hell. Yeah, this is, I guess, a spoiler if you want to stop watching because you haven't done bullet hell in your game. I wouldn't blame you. But also, if you've spent any time watching YouTubers, you already know about this. Because basically every person who's recording Gungeon content on YouTube right now has already managed to make it to bullet hell. I even know that some people are doing Gungeon streaks, which I'm just not good enough for yet. Admittedly, if I could have all my runs be as strong as this run, then we could definitely talk about doing streaks, but this is not necessarily your average run in terms of effectiveness. We really did get pretty stacked in this run. Those guys are frustrating. You can't really, like, beat them by keeping shooting at them. on account of the fact that they take a defined number of hits rather than a defined number of damage to kill. No, I don't want this. I want to use the Brick Breaker, I guess is the name. The Mario Koopa Shell gun. Just because anything that bounces around like that is going to provide a great deal of ammo efficiency. You're kind of going to be able to fire and forget when you have a weapon like this. You can just flood the room and then hope for the best. You'll very often hit enemies that you can't even see when you use a gun like this. And ammo efficiency is very important at this stage of the game. Now, it's a shame that I got hit there, and what I would expect to see happen, don't be surprised if we just get whittled down if I don't find the boss room fast enough. Because, yeah, bullet hell is just really brutal, and more times than not, the way that I lose here is by getting just slowly whittled down and losing HP room to room. I actually don't find the Lich fight to be as hard as working your way through bullet hell in the first place. And there are no chests. There's nothing that benefits the player here. It's just all awful all the time. The best you can hope for is to get HP drops, in my opinion, at this point in the game. But the game didn't give me that. It gave me a key for a drop. So we're just going to have to power through. The only nice thing is that bullet hell does have quite a bit in the way of tables. And our table flips are really, really powerful on this run. So we will be able to come into a lot of rooms and just flip tables, and that will really decimate the enemies. Trouble is, a lot of the rooms here are very long, too, so you may run out of tables before you're able to clear the room. Which generally is going to result in me trying to save tables for when there are difficult enemies in play. I don't want to waste tables when I don't have to. It's very strategic when you decide to actually flip tables in bullet hell when you have a synergy like this, because that kind of thinking through your play can really be the thing that makes the difference in a win or a loss. And we're starting to see the very thing that I was talking about. I'm getting kind of low on ammo for the Brick Breaker, and we already ran out of ammo for the Saw Blade gun, the name of which I do not remember. And the longer that I have to go here without finding the boss, the worse this is going to get for me. Because I'm just going to hemorrhage ammo and HP over the course of several rooms and just get whittled down and not be able to keep going. Of course, that's not what you hope for, but the truth of the matter is, it is what can happen here. So we're out of all of our bouncing weapons. I definitely take ammo for the saw gun if any drops. That's my first priority for... God, those things shoot such janky, hard to avoid bullets. They just... the way that they curve makes it significantly harder to... at least in my opinion, it makes it a lot harder to track where they're gonna be. It just... I don't really have the best grasp on where those bullets are going. I much prefer enemies who fire nice straight lines like this, because when you hide behind a wall or something, you don't have to worry about the bullet miraculously curving its way around to hit you regardless of your attempts at dodging. This room can go to hell because it is just full of annoying mages and nothing else. I've seen this room before. I know what it does. They just keep spawning. You go through a gauntlet of like every mage type. Yeah, so now it's the red guys. Man, you know, in an early build these mages were just on the very first floor. That was the most unfair stuff. Like, having to fight those guys early when you don't have any good weapons is a nightmare. Because they were able to just tank through shots from your starting weapon. It wouldn't be strong enough to take them out in a reasonable amount of time. And you'd have to fight them in 2 or 3 different cycles of their abilities. Now, I do think that this shotgun is performing much better than I would expect it to. And part of the reason for that, I think, is the Marine starting with that passive bonus to accuracy. It's really tightening up the spread on this gun so that I can shoot enemies from further away with it and still hit with all the projectiles. You know, normally to get this kind of value, you'd have to be right up in the face of every enemy, whereas this gun is generally taking out an enemy in 2 shots, even when I'm reasonably far away from them. You know, I'm looking at, on average, I think 1 projectile misses, even at a significant range. Now this jammed gun nut, while frustrating, is certainly far from the worst thing we can encounter here. It was nice that we were able to just freeze him up and then lay into him with the shotgun. Unfortunately, this shotgun is very nearly out of ammunition, which means I'm going to have to switch to yet another weapon. That room wasn't so bad. It was also a dead end, so I don't get any value out of it. Yeah, we're going to have to pick another room clearer. So this is another room that I think isn't so difficult. There are quite a few tables here that can be flipped. I guess the crest fall. What? Who shot me? I guess the stun wore off of that just normal guy and let him fire off a shot. I'm starting to debate whether the Crestfaller is the right choice. We're probably better off with the Luxon cannon, just being able to fire rapidly, do some quantity over quality. Ah, there we go. Okay, so this lets me get ammo for Buzzkill, and we can go back to this powerhouse of a saw blade shooter. Getting, you know, a lot more value per shot, I think. Because of the bounces and just the ability to hit multiple enemies with 1 shot. Or hit the same enemy multiple times, depending on the situation. Also, it's a much better ranged weapon. You know, we've been using shotguns and that sort of weapon. Yeah, there's no reason to do anything else when you find the boss here. I think I'll lead with the sling, and then when it inevitably runs out of ammo, I'll switch to the Stinger. Now let's see. If we're lucky, he'll actually, yeah, they're going to shoot the decoy, which gives me some time to do free damage. I think while he has these tombstones out, it'll be a better idea to use the Buzzkill. Ah, that was bad. I shouldn't have gotten hit there. Yeah, okay, I think those tombstones are all dead. So we can switch back to using the sling for big damage. Shoot him. Yeah, okay, so the first phase is down. I'm going to reload this quickly, switch back to the sling, and get ready for part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Lich the Reckoning. Getting pulled down to that 2nd level. Hit E. No, you can't skip this. At least not this part. There we go. There's the skip. Just sit that decoy down close to him. Yeah, it actually soaked up several shots there. Roll through that. I had to use a blank there. I figure it's worth it. Just anytime that you use a blank and you would have gotten hit and you instead don't is a fine use of a blank in my opinion. So my strategy for that attack is to just kind of stay in the same line. And as long as you stay in a line where one row doesn't hit you and you roll through the other row, you'll be fine. As long as you start far enough over that you don't wind up against the wall. Because then you don't get enough lateral movement to make the attack miss you. Now, I think we're probably set here. With just the amount of power-ups that I have passively and the amount of damage that this sling is doing, I don't think there's going to be any trouble with clearing the Lich on this run. I say as I run out of sling ammo. But that's what the Stinger's for. The Stinger also has the immense benefit of destroying bullets. Why am I slip sliding around? Apparently getting close to him does weird things during that. But as you can see, I've completely ruined this attack for him. And yeah, now he's just going to crumble. So, that's a Lich kill. Just going to point this at him, take the shot, hear the sweet Enter the Gungeon rap. The rap will kick in a second, I promise. It's pretty sweet. You got some build up first. But yeah, we managed to kill the Lich. I think this is a great showing for the first video. And it'll also let you know that when I get wrecked in the future, it's because of the pressure of commentary during gameplay, rather than because I'm just objectively terrible at this game. Don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm the best at it by any stretch. But this is a good showing. Alright, so I guess that'll be it for this video. Thanks, as usual, for all YouTubers. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. It really helps me out, and it'll help me start to pick up some steam on this channel. I'll see you guys next time.